Welcome to our latest podcast episode. Before we dive in, a word of caution. This episode contains discussions and viewpoints that some might find challenging, even contentious. The topics we tackle here about housing are complex and nuanced, and we aim to shed light on them from various angles. If you are a listener who prefers to steer clear of such debates, this might not be the episode for you. However, if you find value in exploring diverse perspectives, even the ones that might ruffle a few feathers, then you're in the right place. So, here's your last chance to swipe away, scroll up, or down away from this video. Okay, let's dig deep and start the conversation, reminding ourselves that the goal is understanding and to educate and not create division. Let the discourse begin.
Is renting essentially affecting your net worth? Is it actually holding you back? Let me come from the perspective of a renter, somebody who's currently renting, would like to buy one day, but just doesn't feel comfortable doing it for a multitude of reasons, some justified, logical, some possibly emotional, and we'll do that. The reason why uh, we prompted this discussion about the net worth areas. There was a CNBC article, and it talked about the average net worth of a renter, $6,300. The average net worth of a homeowner, $255,000. So a wide disparity. So you want to begin?
Let's go.
Let's go. Look, Josh, I would like to buy a house. I mean, I just don't have the money for it right now.
I can understand how you feel like you may not have the money right now. However, statistically speaking, renters pay 32% of their median income towards rent. Homeowners only pay 17% of their median income towards their mortgage. So while you may think that you're unable to right now, statistically speaking, you're more than capable.
I mean, I'll say how I'm capable because it's really getting harder to pay rent as it is. I mean, my landlord just raised my rent another $200 a month beginning at the end of my 6 month. In 6 more months, my lease expires, and they're gonna raise it $200 more. I can't afford a house.
Yeah, see, you're trying to equate your rental experience with buying a house. Do you know that the number one thing, the highest inflation right now in our economy is rent? It's the highest at 7.2%.
Yeah,
So if you're renting and you're saying that you can't afford the higher interest rates that we're seeing in mortgages, well,
it's
you're
it's not
already
even just the
paying.
interest rates; it's the down payment. Like I don't even have money to put down to get a house, let alone pay rent.
And that's a common misconception that a lot of renters have. There are a lot of loan programs out there that are tailored towards first-time home buyers who can buy a house with little or no money down. For example, here in the Virginia area where we're at, there's a VHDA home loan. And that VHDA home loan will cover your down payment in the form of a second mortgage. You finance the down payment over 30 years, you make
All right, so
two.
there's two mortgages at once.
Yes. But the second mortgage is going to be like $20.
Okay.
You're financing, let's just say, a $250,000 house. The down payment is going to be right around $9,000.
Okay. For
So you're financing that payment, that $9,000 over 30 years.
okay.
360. So take 9,000 divided by 360. That's what the monthly payment's going to be. The rest of it is the actual loan for the house, and you pay back the principal and the interest. Now, there's a lot of people who say, okay, well, that part's figured out, but what about my closing costs? Because I'm hearing a lot of people talk about closing costs.
Right. I heard about that too.
So, yeah, so here's the thing. They also have a closing cost assistance program that covers 1.5% of the closing costs. So that makes my job as your real estate agent a little bit easier because now I only need to ask the seller to cover about 1.5%, vice the typical 3% for closing costs.
All right. Well, cool. It's nice to know about that. I heard about that program before, but let me just wait a little while. You know, let me pay off some bills. Let me get my credit score a little higher. So and then we'll see.
Okay. And what are you going to do? Because I'm curious. What do you think you're going to be able to do to increase your credit score?
I don't know, just maybe pay down my carb note a little bit more. Maybe I will. I don't know, pay off a little bit more of my student loans, maybe pay off a little bit more on my credit card. And, because I don't know if my credit score is where it needs to be. I'd like to get it a little higher, you know.
Okay. And I can understand that. The really the only time that I feel that if you are not able to buy and you have to rent, it's because you just don't qualify for a home loan. But here is something that you can do that's going to help you increase your credit score. There's a program called Credit Builder.
Okay.
And what it does is you are paying your rent right now. Am I
Mhm.
correct?
Yeah.
What else are you paying for that doesn't necessarily count towards your credit? Let's say like a cell phone or something.
Yeah. So my cell, my water bill, my light bill, my cable bill
Yeah.
or internet bill rather.
So yeah, your utilities, your cell phones, which mostly everybody has them, and rent. Now, would you say that if you pay all of those monthly, that you're kind of responsible with paying for those items on a monthly basis?
I mean, yeah, but look, if I get a house, I got that mortgage plus whatever unknown expenses go with that and what I'm currently paying, light bill and water bill and stuff like that. I just don't know if, you know, I don't know.
So look,
I still got 6 months left of my lease too, so
okay, and we're gonna get to that, but stay with me here real quick.
okay.
If you're already paying those bills, right? Every
Yeah.
month you're paying your rent. Your rent doesn't count towards building your credit. Do you think that it should? I mean, if I pay my mortgage, it counts towards my credit. You pay your rent. Should it or should it not count towards your credit?
I mean, yeah, I would like it to, but
Yeah, so
yeah, I don't even know if I didn't even know there's programs out there that do that.
that's what the credit builder program does.
Yeah.
Every month you're making payments on a regular basis to your landlord, to Verizon or AT&T, T-Mobile, whoever you have, and your utility companies, but you're not getting any credit on your credit score for making those payments on time and every month. Credit Builder will help to build your credit with their program if you enroll in that, and that will help increase your score to get you
I
qualified.
don't know, man. I already did credit repair one time. Somebody turned me onto that. I had to pay extra money per month to be
This
in
is
its credit program. So,
this is different than credit repair. Credit repair is something totally different. And in most cases, it does not work and it takes long periods of time.
what? So this don't cost money per month?
Well, Credit Builder, what it is it is a program that allows you to take credit for the things that you are already paying. So it essentially works like this. I become your creditor.
Hmm.
You pay me, I pay your bills.
Oh,
In
okay.
return, I report to the credit bureaus that, hey, Robert paid me on time.
Okay.
That's how it works.
Hmm.
So it increases your credit score because it says that you borrowed money from me and I took that money and I paid your bills.
Oh, okay, I see. So it's another debt, like I said.
It's not a debt. You're already paying it. You're going
Okay.
to pay those things regardless anyways. The difference is you're paying it to someone who is going to report it to the credit bureaus.
All right. Well, look, I still look at my and I I know about the assertion of the net worth stuff between homeowners and renters, but those guys and gals obviously make much more money than I do.
Not
So
true. Not true.
why is that?
It's not true. It's not about how much money you make. It's about what you do with the money that you make. See, the reason why they have higher net worth is because they take their money and they pay their mortgage payment, and their mortgage payment pays down the principal that they owe on the house. Meanwhile, as the house is appreciating in value, they also are able to take benefit from that as well. The other thing is the difference in a lot of cases between renters and homeowners is the mentality, the mindset. A lot of renters are just looking for shelter. A lot of homeowners are looking for an investment as well. So I take
Yeah, but
out,
I don't see that as an investment, man, because the bank owns that house. You don't own it.
it's a joint venture with the bank. So yes, the bank is holding the note on the house. However, if I continue to make all of my payments over time, I will buy out their stake in that house. If you make all of your rent payments over time, you get nothing. In fact, when you pay your rent, you're likely to take your money into a toilet and put it in the toilet and flush it because you're never going to see that money ever again. When you pay your mortgage, as long as you pay your mortgage on time every month and for that 360 months or until you pay it off in its entirety, whether that's early or whether that's through the sale of the house to someone else, that house becomes yours and you reap the benefits of all the money that is there.
So it sounds like a car note in a sense, because like a bank would own a car note, right? So every time I trade my vehicle in, I'm almost upside down every time. So
The difference is cars, they depreciate in value. They depreciate the day you drive that car off the lot. The value of it is less because you put miles on it. It's been driven on the street. The value of it immediately decreases. A home appreciates in value over time.
all right. Well, it's a lot of good information you gave me. I'm look, I got 6 more months left on my lease. I'll take a look at that later. Then I guess.
Yeah, and so the reality is if you have 6 more months left on your lease, then right now is the actual time that you need to be making a decision on whether or not you're going to take control of your future and become a homeowner, or if you're going to continue to pay your landlord over and over again and in return get nothing for your money. See, it takes 6 months to get set up for it. Most leases say you have to give them 60-day notice of your intent to renew, or it's going to automatic or to leave that lease, or
Mm,
it's going to automatically renew.
right.
So 2 months before it ends is when you really have to make a decision. So the next 4 months is when you really need to figure out, like, hey, am I in this or am I not in this? Am I ready to take my future into my own hands, become a homeowner, and start paying myself vice paying someone else?
Yeah. But I mean, 6 months is still a long time. I mean, this is all good information. I mean, might call you after, you know, but I mean, I'd probably go look for a house since my lease expires in May. Um, Probably start looking in April for a house.
It's not enough time.
Why?
It's not enough time because I just said that most leases say in there you have to give them 60 days notice.
Okay.
The only way you're going to know 60 days before your lease ends is if right now you start the process. And when I say start the process, the first thing we got to do is just get you in touch with a loan officer, find out what loan programs you qualify for, see if we can get you into that no money down or low money down loan right now. Because it's going to take you time to get your documents and get them into the loan officer for them to review it.
Okay.
It's going to take time for us to find you a house. It's going to take about 30 to 45 days for closing.
Yeah, but I don't want to. I don't want the timeline to be too messed up because I'm not trying to pay a mortgage and a rent at the same time.
I understand that. And a lot of first time home buyers don't know what I'm about to tell you, but here's how it works. You don't make your first mortgage payment until your second out month. And what that means is your lease ends in May, correct?
Yeah,
So if
May
your lease
1st.
it May 1st, are you making a payment May 1st or is your last payment April 1st?
I think it's April 30th. And then if I don't give them notice, I think it renews.
Okay. So your last payment is probably going to be at the beginning of the month, as when most rents are due. So
Okay.
it's probably April the 1st or the 5th, whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
So what happens is if your last payment for your rent is April, let's say 5th, and your lease ends April 30th, then what we want to do is we actually want to get you under contract on a house in February.
February.
Yes.
February,
In February, it's going to take about 30 days for you to close. Let's just say
March.
the standard 30 days. So let's say that takes you to March, and let's say it was the first. We find you a house and we put a contract in February 1st, and you close March 1st.
Okay.
Your first monthly mortgage payment is not due until May 1st. Most likely the 5th is normally when mortgages are due.
So if I close in March, my first payment likely won't be due till the first of the month in May.
The first week of
Okay.
May.
Okay.
So that gives you a full month, 2 months to go ahead and move from the place you're renting into the place that you buy.
Okay.
So now the key to it all is you have to communicate this to your real estate agent because your real estate agent is not a mind reader. And so if they don't know the timeline that you're working on, then they will put you under contract on a house in February and close in February in 28 days
Yeah.
because there are some lenders who can close in 21 days.
Yeah.
If they don't know that it's important to you to close on a certain day, then they won't close. They'll close as soon as possible. So you have to be communicating with your real estate agent at all times. Now, I told you if we go under contract on February 1st, we won't close till the first week of March, and then your first payment won't be due until the first week of May. Now, in order for us to put you under contract on the first week of February, we have to be looking for a house before then because it's highly unlikely that the first house that you see is going to be the first that say you're going to walk in and say, "Hey, this is my house. This is the one I want right here." It's highly unlikely.
Hmm.
So that means we have to go out, we have to look, we have to find houses. And then once we find houses, we have to make sure that we can align everything to make sure that we actually get you a house with little to no money down. And what I mean with that is hey, if the true goal is to find you a house and get you into a house with no money down, we got you qualified for the loan program, so your down payment's covered. We got you 1.5% of your closing costs covered. Now I have to find that other 1.5%. Normally that's going to come through negotiations with the seller to see if we can get them to pay that.
Okay.
So what
What
I'm
if they
saying
don't, what
is
if they
we
don't pay
have
it?
to. We have to start looking in January. We may find ourselves with the very first house that you're looking at and you want, we can't align with the seller. So we have to give ourselves enough time to align with the seller of whatever house it is that you're going to buy so that way that we can make it work. Now, in a last resort situation, there's a probability that I would just reduce my commission in order to offset the 1.5% to get you into your house. But the only way I'm going to do that is if you're going to show me the effort and the time to put into this in order to make this all happen.
Yeah.
I can't want this more than you want it.
Yeah. I mean, I want it, but look, man, I've rented all my life. I'm 30 years old. And, I mean, my parents rented before me. And I mean, yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. I'm a little unsure, you know. I mean, all sounds good. I just, I don't know, man. I don't know if now's the right time or not.
And look, I get it. I understand that, you in most cases people would say that their parents, their mother, their father, that, they had a good life, right?
Yeah.
Whatever the circumstances may be, they would say that they've had a good life. And it's easy to be comfortable. It's easy to be comfortable. Okay? And so you've been renting since how old?
Excuse. Oh goodness. I've been renting, I mean, since I was shoot 19. A
Okay.
long time.
So you've been renting 11 years. And I know that rents fluctuate over time, but what would you say was the average amount that you paid per month for rent?
I don't know. If I was to average it, maybe 1,500 a month over different apartments or townhomes I rented.
Hmm. So at $1,500 a month in 1 year, you spend $18,000 on rent. And you said you've been renting for the last 11 years. So in 10 years, you've paid a whopping $180,000 towards rent. And if we add that last year on, it takes it up to $198,000 you've paid towards rent. You will never see that money ever again. And this is why homeowners have a higher net worth than renters. Because if you take the same amount of money and you pay it into a mortgage, when the time comes, you will have paid down the principal enough to where you can recoup some of that money that you paid towards the principal, but the appreciation of the house in value is the cherry on top.
Yeah, I can, look, I know home values go up and stuff like that, but I mean, we're headed for a market crash in 2024, man. It's all over the internet.
I get it. There are a lot of negative information out there on the housing market, and I'm sure you can Google and find any negative article you want to. But I'll tell you this, fear and negativity sell. The reason why there's all this fear and negativity being put out is because it sells. It sells people. It draws them in, sucks them in. And listen, if you want to be negative, then you can be negative. And negativity kind of attracts negative things, right? So, like, for example, if you say, oh man, I don't want to miss this turn, or I don't want to miss something, and you keep thinking that over and over again in your head, guess what happens? You end up missing it.
Yeah, but I mean, back in 2008, that I heard about that. I remember it a little bit. I was a little bit young when it happened, but I remember that 2008, housing crisis and stuff like that, and a lot of people were underwater on their homes. And I don't want if people are over the internet yapping about another one, like I don't want to like buy a house and then all of a sudden like, oh my God, my house, the housing market crashed and now I'm upside down in this house for years to come.
Yeah. And you know what? In 2007, no one was calling for a housing market collapse. Because if it is going to collapse, you're not going to know it's going to collapse. It's just going to happen. And a lot of it was tied to the financial markets. So it was because of bad policies, and people would get home loans and didn't shouldn't have had them. There were things called ninja loans. No income, no job, approved.
Hmm.
That's what ninja stood for. So we're no longer in those times. There's been a lot of strict guidelines put in place. In fact, back then, you didn't even have to have any licensing to be a loan officer. There was no schooling, no licensing. In fact, there were a lot of people who had criminal records that were loan officers because there were no background checks. There was nothing being done. So there was nothing to make sure that the people who were handling the financials of this country and who got a loan and who didn't get a loan, there was nothing governing that. Today, there are strict guidelines, background checks, and everyone has to be licensed in order to issue a loan unless they're working for a bank.
All right. I mean, look, all good information, man. I really appreciate that. But man, these interest rates are, I think I'm gonna wait till they get back down to like 3 or 4%, you
Yeah,
know, and because at some point they're gonna have to come down.
yeah.
Eh,
If you wait any longer, you've already paid $198,000 in rent. You can't afford to wait any longer. I've already told you that rent is the highest thing in inflation. So when everyone's running around saying, "Oh man, my groceries are high or this is high, that's high." The number one thing that is the highest in inflation is rent at 7.2%.
mm,
So with rent already being inflated 7.2%, to say you can't handle a 7% mortgage or interest rate on a mortgage, you're wrong. You're already doing it. You just don't know it. And no one's out here screaming and advertising this to you. And the reason why is because, well, most of the people who own the houses and the apartments and the buildings that you rent, they're investors. They have an investor mentality. They have no desire to educate you any further than to be the good person who goes out there, works every day, earns a living, and brings their paycheck home and gives it to them. So why would they ever tell you anything different?
yeah, I don't know what he does with my money. I always ask him to come fix things. He just paints over it or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they know they have you. You're in a contract. You're in a lease with them. You're going to continue to do it. And listen, they already know that if you have a renter's mentality, and a lot of landlords will ask you, "Hey, where did your parents live? What did they do?" And if you tell them that they rent it, they think that this is generational. That because your parents rented, that you're just going to be a continuation of it and you're going to continue the rent as well. It's a mentality, it's a mindset. Now, I'm going to tell you one other thing that you're probably not going to find anywhere. This is my own personal opinion. But when you put more on your plate, you do better. You perform better because you have the responsibility of that on your shoulders. And so, therefore, it's not a surprise to me that homeowners earn more income and have a higher net worth. The reason why is because they have high levels of responsibility. And so, therefore, it drives them to do better and to outperform.
Hmm. We're at 30 minutes. We're gonna go ahead and wrap this up here, man.
Okay.
That was good information. Good time. Guys, if you like this video, go ahead and give us a like, subscribe. And we're already at 1,000 subscribers. That is awesome. We're over 1,000. We appreciate everybody who has taken the time to subscribe to the podcast. Also, leave a comment below. Let us know what kind of comments you would like to see us discuss from a real estate perspective. With that, thanks for watching. See you soon.